If you want a six-figure AI engineer role, you don't need months of unstructured study. In the next 30 days, you can build the skills and a production-grade project that hiring managers recognize, and pass the AI 102 exam to back it up. This is the playbook that gets you hired. Imagine a fintech startup deploying an AI fraud detection model and accidentally exposing sensitive financial data through a public endpoint. That one mistake could cost millions in fines and lost trust. The engineer who built it hadn't configured private endpoints or network security. Exactly the gap AI 102 closes. Our structured 30-day plan cuts through the noise with focused daily labs. By the end, you'll be able to deploy a secured AI infrastructure with Bicep, call Azure AI services from Python, and build a knowledge mining chatbot project. The kind of hands-on work that gets you hired. You don't need to be an Azure expert to start. You just need three things: basic Python, comfort with a terminal, and an Azure subscription, which we'll create for free in a minute. Bicep, Azure's native infrastructure as code language, will be taught from scratch so you never need to guess. Quick recall. What feature would have prevented the AI model from exposing data through a public endpoint? Pause the video now and try to recall. Ready? A private endpoint. It isolates the resource and keeps traffic off the public internet. Here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. You can name every Azure AI service and still fail AI 102. Why? Because when a case study asks, which architecture meets HIPAA and cost constraints? It doesn't care about vocabulary. It cares whether your solution uses a private endpoint and managed identity, which is a secure authentication method for Azure resources that doesn't require storing credentials. If your answer includes a public endpoint or a plain API key, it's wrong. This shield is your reminder. Infrastructure isn't preparation, it is the exam. And we'll show you exactly how to set up managed identity when we walk through the infrastructure deployment later in this video. Quick recall check. What's a critical security oversight that can undermine an otherwise well-designed AI solution? Pause the video and think. Arsasio. Answer. Forgetting to use private endpoints and managed identity, which can leave your AI resources exposed to the public internet and plain API keys. Lock it down from day one. Here are the 3 commands that prove you're an engineer, not a note-taker. Log in, create a resource group, and run one deployment command pointing at your Bicep file. That last line is the magic. It provisions your entire AI infrastructure, including the VNet, private endpoint, and Azure AI services in one shot. In under a minute, you've replaced hours of portal clicking with a repeatable, version-controlled template. Quick check. What's the single command that deploys your entire AI infrastructure from a Bicep file? Pause the video and try to recall the command. Ready? The answer is AZI deployment group create, resource group, template file. That's the muscle memory you need. I need you to do this right now. Pause the video if you have to. Open portal.azure.com, click Start Free, and fill out the sign-up form. You'll need a phone number and a credit card for identity verification, but Microsoft won't charge you unless you upgrade. You'll get a free subscription with a $200 credit that covers most Azure services for 30 days, enough for everything we're doing in this series. Quick recall. What's the first concrete action to start the playbook? Pause the video and think. Answer. Create a free Azure account. That gives you the environment to build everything we'll cover. Week 2 introduces the Azure AI Services toolbox. Computer vision analyzes images, language service extracts key phrases and intents, speech converts voice to text and back, and document intelligence reads forms and invoices. By the end of this week, you'll call each of these services from a Python script and understand how they combine in real apps. Here's the Python code that proves you're not just a consumer. Import the text analytics client, initialize it with your endpoint and key, later you'll use managed identity, and ask for sentiment analysis. One line returns a confidence score, detected language, and even key phrases. This is the exact pattern you'll use for all cognitive services in the exam. Almost every beginner creates their AI service in one region and the storage account in another, then wonders why things break. Azure AI services are region-specific, and mismatched regions add latency and can fail silently. Unless a case study explicitly mentions multi-region, keep everything in the same location. Pause and test yourself. Which service gives you sentiment analysis, and what's the Python library? Pause the video to recall. The language service, using the Azure AI text analytics package, returns sentiment labels and confidence scores. If that's not clear, replay the code walkthrough. Week 3 connects documents to answers. You feed raw documents into Azure AI search. An indexer applies AI skills like OCR and key phrase extraction and populates a search index. That index becomes the knowledge store that later powers a GPT-backed chatbot. Exactly what the Contoso case study expects. This week isn't just code. You'll use the portal to create an Azure AI search service and an index. The import data wizard connects to a blob storage with sample patient records, applies AI enrichments like OCR and key phrase extraction, and within minutes you have a searchable knowledge base. This is the foundation of the capstone project. Let's lock it in. Which Azure service enriches a search index with AI, and what configures those enrichments? Pause to recall. Azure AI Search, using a skill set attached to the indexer. When a doctor asks, "What was the patient's last MRI result?" the Contoso Patient Assistant pulls the relevant record from the knowledge store, feeds it to Azure OpenAI, and returns a cited answer. No hallucination, because every fact is grounded in your own data. That's the capstone project you deploy in week 4, and it's the project you'll demo in your next job interview. But here's the mistake that kills your exam score. Almost everyone skips the full infrastructure rebuild on day 7 and day 29. They think, "I already deployed it once, I'm fine." The problem? The exam hands you a fresh case study and expects you to spin up a secure AI architecture from a blank subscription. Under time pressure. Without rebuild muscle memory, you freeze. That's why the 30-day plan makes those rebuilds non-negotiable. Pause and recall. Why do we rebuild the entire infrastructure twice in the playbook? Pause to think. The exam might present a fresh case study that demands a secure architecture deployment from scratch. Rebuilding the infrastructure multiple times builds the muscle memory and confidence to handle that without freezing. Let's look at success rates from real career data. AI 102 holders who add AZ 305 become architects within 18 months at an 85% rate. Going the developer route with AZ 204 yields 78% into senior roles in 12 months. These aren't guesses. They're from industry tracking of certification paths. Quick recall. Which certification after AI 102 gives you an 85% chance of becoming an architect within 18 months? Pause to think. The AZ 305 Solutions. Architect Expert, paired with your AI 102. Stack intentionally. let's lock in the 3 things that turn AI 102 from a test into a career accelerator. 1. Build the fortress first. Private endpoints and managed identities are the real scoring layer. 2. Rebuild from scratch twice, because the exam will ask you to do it under pressure. 3. Stack a complementary certification to target the exact role you want. If you're ready to stop watching and start building, subscribe and hit the bell. The full 30-day lab course drops next. Link in the description for the free Azure account sign-up and the practice exam blueprint. The exam's case studies aren't checking whether you can call a Vision API. They're checking whether you can architect it securely. This is the pattern you must be able to sketch from memory. A client inside a virtual network talks only to a private endpoint. That endpoint connects over Microsoft's backbone to your Azure AI Services instance, which has public network access disabled. No direct internet exposure. When Contoso Healthcare hands you a compliance checklist, this diagram is your answer. Skip it, and you'll bleed points, both on the exam and in a real security review. Day 6 is all about cost control, and this monitor is a cheap insurance policy. These bicep lines define an action group that can email you the moment your Azure AI service calls cross a threshold you choose, so you can focus on learning, not on anxiously checking your bill. Configure the alert right after you deploy your AI resource, adjust the threshold and metric to match your real workload, and write these once. They'll protect every project going forward. Quick recall check. After deploying your AI resource with the bicep template, what cost control measure did you configure to get alerted of unexpected usage spikes? Pause the video and try to answer before continuing. Transcription. Got it? A metric alert rule on the cognitive services total calls metric, configured to trigger when calls exceed your threshold. That's your budget safety net. Quick recall. In the cost control bicep template, what resource type defines the action group that sends email alerts? Pause the video and think about the specific resource type. Ready? Microsoft.Insights Action Groups. It contains email receivers like the admin address, so you get notified before costs spiral. Next up in the series, Part 2, Your Azure AI Foundation. We'll set up resource groups, authentication keys, managed identity, and bicep tooling, the building blocks every lab from now on will depend on. You won't need to guess where to start. The next video gets your environment fully wired. So here's what you can walk away with today. First, a concrete 30-day plan to earn your AI 102 certification. Not months, not years. Second, you've seen the actual code to deploy an AI pipeline on Azure, something you can fork and customize tonight. Third, you know the exact type of project that makes your resume stand out in an interview. These 3 moves, certification, deployable pipeline code, and a showcase project, are the fastest way to go from zero to hired. Now let's get you started. Stop waiting. Your career is 30 days away. Go to portal.azure.com, create your free account, and open Chapter 0. While you're there, schedule the exam. Pay the current exam fee, check Microsoft's site, pick a date 30 days from now, and commit. Then watch Part 2, which walks you through your Azure AI Foundation. And you'll have everything you need to start building. I'll see you in the next video. You've seen the playbook. Now go execute it. Download the 30-day AI 102 playbook from the link in the description. It includes the exact bicep template, study calendar, and practice exam links. Open Azure Cloud Shell, run the deployment, and get your first AI service live in under 5 minutes. That's the kind of hands-on work that separates certified engineers from resume keywords.